Well, welcome back to history class. Today we're going to cover the rise of mail order catalogs and how people who can order things, consumers, that require demand, can order goods from anywhere in the United States and get a good to their home. If you think about America between 1865 and 1910, it is very rural. It's a country that has people all over the countryside. They can't always go to a general store and find something that they want. So later on they used things called mail order catalogs. And mail order catalogs started around this time period. And of course they become increasingly used even today. And if you look at mail order catalogs, we like to think that Amazon has taken over everything and that online systems have taken over anything. It's just only a few now. But I can tell you, we still use catalogs for various items. For example, I will not get on Amazon and order horse supplies, for example, because their selection is so poor. Yet I can get on a catalog and find something better, more detail for our horses than I could even at a big R. Yeah, I can get some items there at a box store, a chain store. But in the kind of detail that I need, specific items, you can't even find them on Amazon. So there's a lot of areas that Amazon simply can't do. Perhaps because it's too big. There's just no way they can control it. Well, one of the ones we want to talk about is one of the mail order catalogs is Sears. It's founded by a guy named Richard Sears. Typical story, working on the railroad. He was a telegraph operator on the railroad. And as a side, just like a lot of Americans, a lot of people have normal jobs, but they also in America have a sort of a side gig, we like to say. A small business. For every person that is an employee, they always do something extra on the side, being an entrepreneur. And Richard Sears was doing that. What he started to do at age 22 is, in addition to being a telegraph operator, he started buying and selling watches, used watches. And then he got into more and more doing it part-time. Then later on, it became so big for him that he went full-time and he got a partner, a guy who would be like a repair watch guy. His name was Sears Roebuck. So when they eventually went to full mail order of everything, more items that people want, not just watches, they was known as the Sears and Roebuck Company. Now their catalog was not the first. There were other catalogs out there. Matter of fact, there was Montgomery Ward. That was probably the main competition. Montgomery Ward used to be a box store. You don't see them anymore. And when I say a box store, it's something you would see in the mall. Just like Sears and JCPenney are, but are struggling severely to be a box store. Sears and Roebuck decided to go full-time, not just on watches. Their competition, for example, Montgomery Ward at the time was the biggest. Montgomery Ward had a saying, and theirs was supplies for every trade and calling on this earth. That was their catalog. You could get anything. Well, how is Sears going to bust in on Montgomery Ward, and how are they going to compete against them? Because they do. Well, one thing that Sears did was they used the railroad extensively. Sears knew that the railroads was critical to deliver big freight items. And so Sears competed with Montgomery Ward in the sense that he would use it much more efficiently. And Sears also would sell big items, including buggies, carriages, not just clothing and furniture, but big gigantic items. They even sold ready-to-build houses. And these houses are beautiful. They were so well made that they're still around. A Sears and Roebuck catalog house can be found in many parts of the country. The other piece that Sears did that outcompeted with a lot is he promised free rural delivery. So if you live way out in the countryside, you got free delivery. That sold a lot of people. And so what he also did was make sure that they were oriented towards people like farmers, pioneers, people that would never get access. Now, general stores didn't necessarily like this because of small businesses. They were a one store in a small town, and what they offered is what they wanted people to buy. But eventually, many of the stores recognized that if they maintained a Sears catalog and they promised delivery to that item to order it for them, then those people would be more inclined to be their customers to get smaller items. So if you were a small store owner, you saw Sears and Montgomery Ward as threats, just like today you see Amazon. However, if you maintain the catalog in your store and you let people order off of it and you offer extra delivery to them or other options, typically what would happen is people would buy things at your store while you went over the Sears catalog with them and recommended certain things. So there's that expertise and advice that general stores realize they got to co-opt this system. If you didn't co-opt the system, you may go out of business. So free delivery, free rural delivery. The other thing, big items. Sears wasn't just about clothing and small tools, it was also big items. And then the last thing they did, besides the use of the train, is a real big one that other catalogs didn't do, was you didn't have to send any money to Sears until you received the goods. Now, that's a problem for a lot of people, but given the fact that most people are honest back then, or their moral character was a little bit stronger, although they were poor, that was a big value. That should demonstrate that Sears trusted them, and because of that, just natural trust, even though Sears never met them, it was in their catalog, they would always advertise in big letters, no money sent. Do not send money until you receive our goods, then send the money. The idea is you will be pleased with our goods, and then you will send that money. So of course, their target market, those people that are in the country that value those sort of ideas and morals, they're going to gravitate towards Sears, and they did. And that's why Sears dominated the rural market for mail order catalogs. Now, Sears is in existence today. You don't see their online system. It was late in coming. They should have. You think, man, they would be the natural group company to have an online system. Well, they didn't for many, many years, and of course they lost business. They're more interested in what's called box stores. Think of Home Depot, a box store. And so Sears was the same way. But they were too late in adjusting and competing. Again, survival of the fittest. If you're not going to adjust and adapt to the environment, you're going to lose out. And Sears to this day is struggling. It may even go bankrupt again to the point where it can never return. And if you think about Sears, where it started selling watches. Amazon, today's Sears, if you will, it's an online catalog system. Of course, you pay first before you receive a good. Amazon's much different. Many buyers pay in to sell goods on Amazon. Amazon, though, did not start as what it is today. It started as a bookstore. So it was competing online with bookstores that were in malls. And so just know that these places, when they get successful, it's the idea of adapting and surviving. And if you don't adapt, then your business is going to suffer. So that's where Sears is at today. Just like J.C. Penney might have said that way today. Montgomery Ward, you don't see any more of them anymore. They used to be big box stores. Okay, so you're a tradesman, you're a farmer, you're a carpenter, you need a tool. What could you order from Sears? Well, this is an item that you would use for not only surveying, but you would also use to build your home, your ranch, a road to your house, because you had to do everything. And this is called a transit or a utility level. Utility levels were important. You had to know mathematics to use it. And this is one from the Sears catalog. We're going to take it out. And you can see this is a transit. Now you notice that this, I don't know if you can see it, but this table that I have is a Craftsman table. Craftsman is a brand from Sears. And if you look on this label here, you can barely see it. There's Craftsman for over 70 years ago. The Craftsman label was an idea that Sears created for their tool line. They ended up selling their own tools. And if you notice on the level, this is a utility level and a utility transit. A farmer, a carpenter, a house builder, your own house builder, you have to deal with slope on your land. Well, to get rid of that slope and make sure your house is not going to sink, and it's built level, you need one of these tools and devices. So this is a transit or utility level. It is used by most tradesmen. And Sears would send you this tool. You could, as soon as it arrived, you inspected it, and then you sent the money. And if you notice my tool right now, it's got a leveler right here and a bubble right there. Okay? And if you look at this thing, you could easily say, on this, you can see a locking mechanism, so you can see how this could be used as a transit. So you could actually move it up and down. So this locking mechanism allows you to level it to the correct, precise measurements. In addition, Sears would give you instructions on how to do everything. So if you really didn't understand it, you could read these descriptions and instructions. And it's very interesting to see this because they almost tell you word for word what to do. What they don't tell you to do is how to do the mathematics. You had to know how to do the mathematics. There's a lot of angles and, of course, degrees involved in this tool. Now, this tool would be mounted on a tripod. And how would you keep that tripod straight? This is I don't know if it's going to hang in there. And this would be underneath the tripod to make sure it's level. This is a plumb bob. This is how you know that your tripod is level. And of course, the guy at the other end would have a marking device. So you can see the other guy if he's standing there, so you could mark your new road that you build, or your new home, or your new barn, new ditch, or new garden, new irrigation system. If you needed a slope so the water would slope into your irrigation canal, you definitely needed one of these. And of course, there's an important notice here. And in here, it's a very unique item, which is a compass, as you can see. And of course, this compass still works. You gotta give it a little bit of time, but it is pointed directly north. Very sensitive compass, and the level is Craftsman. So Craftsman was the tool line that Sears eventually would use that still exists today. I think Craftsman is sold at Lowe's. So even though Sears is kind of close to bankruptcy, not doing so well, Craftsman, the tool line, is still being sold. And then what's interesting about this transit in here, I love to say this piece of history, is a label, a manufacturer's guarantee. And the manufacturer's guarantee still has the initials of the inspector who inspected it and adjusted it. The initials EM, of course it's written in cursive writing, very neat cursive writing. And these kind of tools really harken back to the idea that if you want to do a building right, you still had to use mathematics. A transit is a tool that's been around for many, many years and centuries. It may not look exactly like this. You've got the bubble inside the leveler. You've got all this interesting, markers on the side. You've got it able to move. And this tool is not fragile. I'm going to tell you right now. This is a heavy-duty tool. It is still very, very strong. It's not rusted. So they build these tools. They weren't like the ones you would get nowadays where you build it, you use it once, and it falls apart on you. These tools are very rugged and very strong. If you take care of these tools, they'll be around. And you can see the 70-year-old tool is still around. Well, that's all we have for today about Sears mail order catalogs and what you can get from them. At this time, go to your extra credit and complete the assignment. See you on the high ground.